We're going to go ahead and solve this trig equation, and we're going to use some trig identities to do it. That's the purpose for learning our trig identities, and so that we can solve trig equations or equations that involve waves, right? A lot of life is modeled by wave functions, and so here we go. What we want to do first, I think, is I think I want to multiply both sides by -1. The reason why I think will become clear here in just a minute, mainly because I've solved a lot of these, and if I multiply both sides by -1, this will become negative, this will become positive, and I'll get a -1 over here. And see, now look what I get here. See, look, I get cosine of 2x, cosine of x, minus the sine of 2x. The sine of x is equal to -1. I made that look like a capital. That should not be a capital sine function. It should be, we don't want a limited domain there. All right, so now what I'm thinking to myself, okie dokie, now look at this. This is really just the cosine of A, cosine of B, right? Minus the sine of A, sine of B. And that is going to, I know that this is going to equal the cosine of, I believe it's A plus B. Right? Cosine of A plus B is cosine A, cosine B minus sine A, sine B. And watch what I have here. Watch. You know, A is 2x, B is x, this is 2x, this is x, this is 2x, this is x. So do you see how all of this right here, this is going to equal, it's going to equal the cosine of 3x. And so that's what I really have up over here. What I really have is the cosine of 3x. All of this simplifies to the cosine of 3x equals -1. And now I can take the cosine inverse of both sides. The cosine inverse of the cosine of 3x going to equal the cosine inverse of -1. And so the cosine inverse of the cosine of 3x is going to be 3x, because those are inverse functions. It kind of cancel each other out, right? And the inverse cosine of -1, that means what I'm thinking to myself here in my head, what I'm reasoning out in my mind, thinking, okay, the cosine of what is equal to -1. And what I'm thinking here, okay, the cosine of what is equal to -1, cosine of what is going to be this angle in the unit circle. It's going to be this angle right here. It's this angle right here. It's this one right here. It's 180 degrees, or it's pi. That's going to have a cosine of -1. Cosine is the horizontal distance in the unit circle here of any coordinate in the unit circle. It's going to just be the x coordinate. All right, so the cosine inverse of -1 is going to be pi. You could also just do it on your calculator. In radians, you'll see it's 3.14, so it's going to be pi. But the thing is, it can keep circling. You could cycle over and over and over again. It could be pi, or you could circle around again. It could be, you know, it's the unit circle, so you could keep going round and round and round. Because it's going to be pi, and then go around again, and it's going to be pi plus 2 pi, 3 pi, then do it again, and then again, and then again. So it's going to be pi plus 2 pi n. Or now, just dividing everything by 3, we're going to get pi thirds plus 2/3 pi n is going to be x. That's pretty much the final answer, but we are given in this problem here, and I forgot to write this, where x is an element of this domain right here, where x is somewhere, actually let me erase all of this right here, where x is, erasing this, see if I can do that right. All right, so let's try this again, up over here, where x is an element of this domain somewhere between -pi and pi. So if x is in that range right there, what can I pick? Well, let's come over here. Let's think about this. Let's Let's let n equal -1. Why? I don't know, because I want to pick in this range somewhere, and there's a negative pi there, so I don't know. I'll let n be -1. So then I'm going to get here pi thirds, right? If x is -1, I'm going to get pi thirds plus 2/3 pi times -1, right? So it would be pi thirds minus 2 pi over 3, or I could see here pi thirds minus 2 pi over 3, that's going to be negative pi thirds. And so that's one of my possibilities. I mean, that's in that range. That's between negative pi and pi. Negative pi thirds, it's in that range. Okay, now if I let n be 0, that's easy peasy, right? If I let n be 0, but now that's not too hard. So let's do that over here. We'll let n equal 0. We're going to get pi thirds, right, plus 2/3 pi times 0. And so I get pi thirds. I can just quickly see that's going to be pi thirds. All right. And now let's let n equal 1, and let's see if I get a number in that range somewhere. I mean, I could keep going with this, but I think this will give me all my possibilities, I think. If I let the n equal -2, would that be another one in that? That might work too. Ooh, let's try that one. Let's let n equal -2, because that might work. Look, we're going to get pi thirds plus 2/3 pi, or 2 pi over 3, times -2. So do you see what I get here? I'm going to get pi thirds plus -4 pi thirds, which is -3 pi thirds. Ooh, yep, which is negative pi. This is inclusive. This is inclusive, so it can be negative pi. Oh, so that's one of my numbers in that range right over there. That does work, negative pi. Yeah. Ooh. Now, if I let n equal -3, I'm out of that range. I'm too. That's not going to work. All right. So now let's try. Let's let n equal. Let's see. We've let it equal -2, -1, 0. Let's let it equal 1 now. Have we done that one? Let's let it equal 1. All right. So we're going to get pi thirds. Okay. Plus 2 pi over 3. That's going to be 3 pi over 3, which is pi. Oh, yeah, that one will work too, because that's in that range. That'll work. And then if we let n equal 2, I believe we're going to be out of range. I don't think that's going to work, but let's just do it and check. Okay, let's let n equal 2. And we're going to get pi thirds plus 2/3 pi times 2. See, look what I get here. Yeah, you're going to get pi thirds plus 4 pi over 3. You're going to get 5 pi over 3. 5 pi over 3 is bigger than pi. So yeah, not in our range. And so from negative pi to pi, this is the possibilities, not written in order. If I were going to write them in order, it would be the opposite of pi, pi thirds, and pi. So that's the answer to that problem right there. And I hope that helps. I don't know, I hope you help to see the process of your thinking and how you need to go through and solve that, okay?